Sick of dating lame Mr. Goody Two-Shoes? Are you craving for someone more fiery? Find your match made in hell, only on Tempt Me.
Welcome everybody to this week's episode of Oh My Devil, where we provide the hottest insight into horror films featuring our dark lore. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Tane, and please give a warm welcome to our lovely guest joining us today, Michelle Lin. Woohoo, yeah! Round of applause, please.
Thank you, Jacob, for having me on.
So in today's episode, we will be talking about the themes of family trauma and mental illness as explored in Hereditary, the critically acclaimed psychological horror debut film of writer and director Ari Aster. Freaking love that guy. Now, for our listeners who didn't get the opportunity to watch it, as is our podcast tradition, let me give you my best attempt at a 1-minute plot summary of the movie before our discussion. Heads up, spoilers ahead.
This better not be straight out of Wikipedia.
It's not, I promise. Now, Michelle, if you'd be so kind as to start the timer.
All right, and go.
Okay, so Hereditary centers on the Graham family, mom and dad, Annie and Steve, and son and daughter Peter and Charlie. Annie's mother Ellen dies, which serves as the catalyst for their demise. Now Ellen has a long history of trying to put people into the males of her family, like her husband and her son, who both died prematurely. Now everyone assumes they were all just mere victims of some hereditary illness, but actually it's all part of an unsuccessful attempt by Ellen and her satanic cult at a ritual to put their beloved demon Paimon into a physical body. After Ellen's death, the living cult members continue the ritual on the family. Charlie is brutally decapitated by a light pole when Peter veers off the road. The family understandably goes into a state of immense grief and depression, and then from here things start to get uncomfortably disturbing. Annie and Peter ruthlessly blame each other. Peter hears Charlie's signature tongue click and slams his head on his desk while briefly possessed. Annie goes full on mental and forces Steve and Peter to participate in a seance to contact Charlie's spirit. Steve abruptly goes on fire. Annie gets possessed, chases Peter around the house, decapitates herself. Then Peter gets fully possessed, goes up into the treehouse, and Paimon is ritually infused into Peter's body by the naked cult. Done.
1 minute, 30 seconds? Not bad, Jacob.
Now, Michelle, I know you watched Hereditary, and it did quite a number on you, right?
Yeah, I could barely watch it. My eyes were pretty much closed the whole time.
Oh, but the movie was so incredibly good, and it didn't even get scary until like the last 30 minutes, you know?
Well, what can I say? I got frightened by a picture frame. A freaking picture frame!
Oh, okay, but actually I won't diss you for that, because while I won't say that was particularly frightening, the interesting thing about Hereditary is that I found the most disturbing and scariest parts were when there wasn't any supernatural shit. And that was like pretty much the vast majority of the movie, because I feel Hereditary is like fundamentally and foremost a family tragedy film, you know?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Like, the freak accident and the ensuing conflict and tension was portrayed really realistically. It really did feel like how a family would react and cope to such a devastating death. The only aspect that separated it from reality was that it was all supernaturally induced by freaky devil worshippers with a malicious motive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about that very tense family dinner scene after Charlie's death when Annie lashes out at Peter.
I was really uncomfortable watching that part.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Toni Collette. She's like a fantastic actor.
Yeah, her monologue there was super powerful and convincing.
Totally, let's check it out.
Just seems like there might be something you want to say.
Peter.
Like what? I mean, why would I want to say something so I could watch you sneer at me?
Sneer at you? I don't ever sneer at you.
Oh, sweetie, you don't have to. You get your point across.
Okay, so fine, then say what you want to say then.
Peter.
I don't want to say anything. I've tried saying
Okay, so
things.
try again. Release yourself.
Oh, release you mean?
Yeah, fine, release me. Just say it. Just fucking say it.
Don't you swear at me, you little shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Do you understand? All I do is worry and slave and defend you, and all I get back is that fucking face on your face! So full of disdain and resentment and always so annoyed. Well, now your sister is dead. And I know you miss her. And I know it was an accident, and I know you're in pain, and I wish I could take that away for you. I wish I could shield you from the knowledge that you did what you did, but your sister is dead. She is gone forever. And what a waste. If it could have maybe brought us together or something. If you could have just said, I'm sorry, or faced up to what happened. Maybe then we could do something struggling with this, but you can't take responsibility for anything! So now I can't accept. And I can't forgive. Because nobody admits anything they've done!
Wow, that was intense.
Yeah, it's like stomach churning. Now, I know that took a chunk of our runtime, but I had to include it. I mean, this scene was so incredibly important as it honestly sums up the emotional intensity of the entire movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And Annie's complete meltdown was personally very traumatizing for me, you know?
Oh, wait, personally traumatizing? Do you have something you want to tell us about your childhood, Jacob? Has your mom ever called you a little shit before?
Well, thankfully, no. I had perfectly normal parents and a wonderful childhood.
Oh, thank God. I thought this was going to turn into a therapy session for a second.
And I certainly never provoked my mom to curse at me like that. Like the way she said that fucking face in your face to her own son.
Yeah. You definitely wouldn't want to hear that from your mom.
When I said personally traumatizing, I meant like with that scene, I could very intimately feel like Annie's seething resentment against Peter. How she can't help that deep down inside her, she blames Peter for Charlie's death.
Not to mention Peter's complete shock as well. I mean, he just sits there with this blank, hurt face, teary red eyes, speechless at his mother berating him.
Yeah, I'm not sure about you, but that scene invoked in me a familiar sense of overwhelming dread and tension. While I obviously never had any conflict with my parents to such an extreme degree like that, I definitely had my share of heated exchanges with them or even overheard their rare verbal fights behind their closed bedroom doors. And I guess that's why the scene was especially triggering, you know? Like, it very vividly reminds me of the conflicts I had or witnessed in my family.
Do your parents still fight?
Fortunately, no. My parents are stronger than ever as a unit and never really argue. And if they do, it's like very tame and trivial. But there was a brief time when I was pretty young and they had a falling out and just had very intense fights. It was never violent and they always made sure to keep their arguing away from my brothers and I. But our home's walls were far from soundproof. I mean, we could clearly hear the shouting, cursing, crying. And perhaps it wasn't as bad as I recall, but in the eyes of a child, seeing your parents fight, or in my case, simply hearing them, is incredibly traumatizing, you know? And it stressed me out, and it made me feel helpless, scared, and vulnerable. And hearing that scene made me feel all of that again. What about you guys?
Yeah, no, you bring up some really good points about a third-party witness to this kind of intense family conflict. In that scene, the heated exchange is strictly between Annie and Peter, and Steve is kind of just there.
Yeah, like the brewing tension was palpable, and Steve tried to intervene, but like once Annie hysterically exploded at Peter, he was essentially incapacitated and could do nothing but watch silently as his grieving wife tears their son apart.
It kind of reminds me of a time I had a sleepover at my friend's house. I was probably like 11 at the time, and we were playing in her bedroom, and all of a sudden her mom rushes in, visibly upset, and scolds her.
For what though?
Apparently she broke one of their family heirlooms or something, so her mom was getting really mad and she starts to scream and cry. I'm still on the floor playing, pretending as if nothing's unfolding right in front of me.
Yeah, everything's totally fine.
Yeah, so for me, watching Hereditary was kind of like that, but far more emotionally extreme, of course.
Yeah, so instead of seeing some minor family conflict like you did, we're watching this dysfunctional family absolutely drown in raw, immense grief and suffering. And it feels very uncomfortable because it feels very real, you know?
Yeah, it's easy to put yourself in the shoes of anyone in that family.
Right, and I think regardless of the degree of your family conflict or trauma history, Hereditary hits close to home because it evokes the raw, primitive emotion of just complete and utter pain.
I agree, and it seems like all this could have been easily achieved without the supernatural aspect. So what do you think the purpose of Hereditary's satanic element is?
Well, first off, it's a very enticing hook. And second, Ari Aster uses the satanic cult as an emblem of mental illness.
Now, what do you mean?
I mean, many comparisons can be drawn between the two. For one, the satanic cult is deeply intertwined with Annie's family history and is the ultimate cause of their intergenerational traumas and tragedies. Decapitation and headless bodies are a frequent theme, perhaps as an allegory for their severed connection between delusion and reality, and you know, them losing their minds. And also think of the demonic possessions throughout the movie. Delusion and possession is a classified symptom of schizophrenia.
Interesting. Now, would you say that none of the supernatural events actually occurred then? Was it all in their head?
Well, that's entirely subjective, and either interpretation is valid. All I'd say is that Ari Aster employs the satanic supernatural as a compelling agent to set off the family's downfall, much like a hereditary illness, tragic event, or domestic conflict can.
And just to add on to that, Hereditary really does a fantastic job on portraying family destruction as the ultimate nightmare fuel.
Yeah, exactly. Regardless of whether you guys think Pyman was real or not, I think we can all agree that the family's gut-wrenching emotional experience of just gruesome tragedy and excruciating trauma is very much an absolute hell grounded in reality.
Love that.
Oh, would you look at that? That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us. It was lovely having you here.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Well, that concludes this week's episode. I'd especially like to thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed our talk as much as I did. I'd also love to hear your guys' thoughts on Hereditary and how it made you feel. Did you find the Grahams' emotional trauma relatable as well? What did you find the most disturbing? Was it the satanic supernatural, the train wreck of emotion, or perhaps something else? If anything, please do share in the comments down below. And lastly, if you'd like to hear more insightful commentary from Oh My Devil, don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our latest podcast. Thank you once again, and see you next time.